Good afternoon. Welcome to the Community and Neighborhood Services Committee meeting, March 18th, 2026. Our committee liaison, Natalie Kessler, will provide information and instruction for the public to participate in today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. While members of the public are able to attend the meetings in person, this meeting is being televised and live streamed on the city's website, and Council Administration will continue to make arrangements for the public to comment using the Zoom webinar platform. Members of the public who wish to provide virtual testimony must enter the virtual queue by raising their hand before the virtual queue closes. The queue will close when the last virtual speaker finishes speaking or 5 minutes after in-person testimony ends, whichever occurs first. This will allow for better meeting management between the two platforms and ensure the committee is able to manage and conduct city business. We appreciate the public's cooperation. Chair?
I will now call the Community and Neighborhood Services Committee meeting of March 18th, 2026 to order. And I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Von Wilford.
Present.
Councilmember Foster.
Here.
And Councilmember Campillo will be here later. And I'm also present, and also present with us today is Sergio Alcalde from the Office of Independent Budget Analyst, Daphne Scogin from the City Attorney's Office, Emily Piapanetti from the Office of Mayor Tom Gloria, Lizelle Gloria, our committee consultant, and Natalie Kessler, our committee liaison. And Natalie, please continue with public comment instructions. Thank you.
I will now go over how the public can offer their testimony for today's meeting. If you're in person, please complete a speaker slip located at the entrance of chambers and placed in the tray indicated at the front of the room next to the public comment microphone. Please submit your speaker slips in a timely manner to ensure proper meeting management. In-person testimony will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Members of the public can join the webinar by computer, tablet, or smartphone by accessing the link listed online in the preamble language of the agenda on the city's webpage. To join the Zoom webinar, 45252. When prompted, input webinar ID 160-429-1678#. This information is also available on the agenda and will appear on the screen during the public comment period for each agenda item. Please note that if you're watching via CCTV channel 24 or online, there may be a delay. Please participate via the audio on your phone and mute your TV or computer when it is your turn to speak. If you wish to speak on a particular item, wait for that item to be called and then raise your hand to speak by tapping the raise your hand icon, or if you are a call participant, press *9 on your phone. If you raise your hand during a non-comment period, your hand will be lowered. Chair?
Thank you, Natalie. The quorum is now present. Council members?
Here.
Good. Okay, as a note to the public, after taking up item 1, we will hear information item 5, and then return to our discussion items 2 through 4. So it'll be item 1, okay, the minutes, and then item 5, and then we'll go back to 2, 3, and 4. So we will now, at this time, take up non-agenda public comment. The council members respect and appreciate the public's input, are fully committed to protecting every participant's free speech rights at council and committee meetings. And Natalie, please proceed with non-agenda public comment.
Per Rule 2.7, non-agenda public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee. Each speaker will have 2 minutes, and we have received 2 speaker slips from 2 individuals here in chambers. We will take those speakers before we move to the virtual queue. Blair Beekman, please approach the lectern. You'll have 2 minutes to provide non-agenda public comment. Then you'll be followed by allegedly Audra. Then we will move to our virtual queue where we have 8 hands raised.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Interesting meeting last night. A lot of work, and it was like a lot of new things to me. I'm not very educated on these things about the term anti-Semitism, and what that actually means. It was agreed in the Human Rights Commission, that's not its right name, but that use of that word, they spent a lot of time just to clarify it's okay to use that word. I think that's a basis of how we're going to have to review the future of this item. That's a serious question. Along with the 11 bullet points of the IRA ideas, very nicely, a lot of unity process to better define things. We can really better define the starting point of guidelines here that I feel, it's just a deep feeling that is lacking on certain democratic principles and human rights values that I think we can better work together on, and that I want to respect what it's trying to work on and understand each part of the community. It'd be nice to have guidelines for each part of the community on how to address ourselves, and I certainly practice guidelines with my tech accountability that I hope can be really clear to you guys what it can really help with. And
Thank you. Allegedly, Audra?
To piggyback a little bit off of what Blair was talking about with the item yesterday, I have concerns about things that I bring up that can be potentially seen as anti-Semitic. And I addressed this at the earlier committee. Your problem with pedophilia. I'm a survivor of that, and so I'm seeing it running rampant not only in our nation but the world, but it is significantly here in San Diego. And many of these predators are people that look quote-unquote normal, and they're hidden in plain sight. But they're just on Megan's Law in the city of San Diego. If I put this address in, and I'm not clicking the part where it's talking about transients, because there are hundreds of those in every city or whatever location, but 144 are within 3/4 of a mile of this building. And again, that's just the ones that have been caught, and many of them haven't even continued to stay registered. And so I have a significant issue with that when we're talking about protecting children. Many acts are used to engage with young adults or younger teens, and it's gay men that are doing it. I'm anti-pedophilia, and I just feel like we should be protecting children more than we are. And it's like, with all of the exposure that's coming out with the Epstein files, it's like that seems like a conspiracy, but these children have gone through a lot of trauma. And I just wish that we would take more concern with that and be more transparent with how many are just right in our neighborhood.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public testimony for non-agenda public comment. We will now move to the virtual queue, and I've set a 5-minute timer for all those in the virtual queue to indicate that they have non-agenda public comment. There are 11 hands raised. Phone number ending in 8700, please press *6 and begin.
Thank you, Sarah. Just in out of CD3, I have two topics I may not get for the second one. So the first topic is yesterday on the consent agenda, we voted on, and I can't forget it because it's so empowering to me, and to know that in some tangible, real way, we're helping on many levels, the underserved, and read that list of who. It's wonderful. So what I thought about later, because interns, when they leave, they're going out into the world, out into our community, of government, and they're showing what how beautiful they are and what they can add to our world. And that is a flame we have to fan right now. That has to be, maybe that's the number one priority, because we're close to our budget. Now, there was no cost in that, I think it was a grant. And we don't have to put money on the suggestion, but where are the philanthropists? Let's ask the philanthropists to help us on this, to provide funds for our youth in this program. I understand there's a waiting list and we can't even maybe put these people to work as interns. Regardless, let's just go out there and see what we can do, because I'm excited. I'm going to see if there's any way I can help it on the street or, whatever. I don't know. But I'm so excited. And so the other thing, which you'll have to do another time, I'm so excited about what India has done for her rural population, the underserved
Thank you.
population.
This concludes your time. Our next speaker, Madison, please unmute and begin.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon. I just wanted to share an article that I found pretty heartbreaking in the New York Times. It described how birds in cities around the world are now building their nests with cigarette butts. Some species have been found weaving discarded cigarette filters into the places where they raise their young. What makes this especially sad is that cigarette butts contain thousands of toxic chemicals, including nicotine, arsenic, heavy metals. That exposure to these materials may cause genetic damage in young birds, with long-term consequences still unknown. Even wildlife is now living with and adapting to our pollution in ways that may carry hidden harm. This should make us think carefully about what is left behind in our own public spaces. In San Diego, cigarette butts, vape cartridges, and marijuana packaging are often found in parks, sidewalks, and near playgrounds. These products do not simply disappear. They become part of the environment that children and wildlife are exposed to every day. It is sad to me that birds are building nests for their young out of toxic litter from human habits. Keeping our parks and neighborhoods clean is not only about appearance, it is about protecting the health of our community and the natural world around us. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Terry Ann Skelly, please unmute and begin.
Good afternoon, Community and Neighborhood Services, Chair Campbell. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a parent and public health educator as well as a planning group member. On the state's Youth Service Corps, the initiative to fund the City of San Diego's Employ and Empower Youth Workforce Program. Participants for the city's program must be between the ages of 16 and 30. They must have, 80% must be residents in a community of concern and must have some socioeconomic challenge, which was described. One of your agenda items today deals with the disparity found in communities of concern where the Employ and Empower Youth Workforce Program their participants actually live. That is the great need for clean and safe parks and a need for clean and safe neighborhoods. No area in San Diego should be described as gritty, as was spoken about yesterday in the comments. Clean air, water, and neighborhood streets and public gathering locations, also known as third spaces, would happen if the city would consider an emergency ban of marijuana and tobacco smoking and vaping in public spaces. Perhaps in honor to Jen Campbell for her service as she prepares to retire, because she has made it a consistent part of her work to improve the health of those who live in communities of concern. Thank you for your considerations.
Thank you. The 5-minute timer has concluded.
As a community, we don't know when the city celebrates. I know you have a group this Saturday at Gompers Dog Park, and although we don't have water, we all had to keep how much fun everybody was going to have, and so of course everybody ran out of water for the dogs. Very appreciative of the upkeep. We still have a lot of grass. We go to some dog parks and there's no grass, so just wanted to make sure that if the city can do more to let the community know when it is park and rec appreciation, city staff appreciation, so that, we can do a little bit more appreciation for the little things. Although they work extremely hard and everything is big, Gompers Park is a jewel in the community, especially the dog park, because We have so many people moving in to southeastern San Diego and especially District 4, and they have pets. And so a lot of us from District 4 go over to a walking dog event over at Memorial Park with our neighbors in District 8, and it's a wonderful time. So again, want to make sure that our dog parks that we travel between the districts all can continue to look wonderful and grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Peggy Walker, please unmute and begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As a youth mentor and public health professional passionate about youth well-being, I respectfully ask you to oppose proposed new seed pot businesses. We work so hard to make our neighborhoods safe and child and family friendly with parks and facilities that support well-being. Why then put our youth at serious risk with increased accessibility to high-potency psychotropic drugs that are linked to psychotic, bipolar, depressive, and anxiety disorders, to school dropout, family disruption, violence, and even suicide? Scientific studies show that when dispensaries are located in neighborhoods where young people live, both youth use and youth psychiatric problems increase. The problem is evident in alarming ER patterns at Brady's Children's Hospital. Dr. Natalie Love said prior to 2020, children were seeing maybe 20 or 30 adolescents for marijuana-related treatment yearly. Last year, they saw nearly 600 adolescents. Increased accessibility means upticks in youth use. SEED is called an equity program, but studies show that Black youth, those on Medicaid, and from lower income neighborhoods are more likely to commercialization of pot could worsen existing mental health inequities. Many jurisdictions are opposed because he said, as a clinician, he saw dozens and dozens of patients diagnosed with marijuana.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'd like to address Madison Rath's comment that were really well reasoned regarding the tragedy of how wildlife is being harmed by the unfortunate impacts of carelessness on the part of adults. We've also seen that shorebirds actually feeding their young cigarette butts because they don't know any better. I would like to remind the committee on the importance of oversight to all the businesses city permits. Smoke shops are permitted businesses in the city, but currently there is little to no oversight of these businesses, and they are exploiting those opportunities. They're selling products that were banned by the state, but smoke shops continue to sell them anyway. A complaint-driven process does not protect our youth from being targeted and purchasing high THC products still available there. One of the recommendations to reduce adverse health outcomes associated with high-potency cannabis products is to prohibit cannabis and cannabis products advertising on billboards and other general public-facing advertising. Billboard advertising directly reaches children because a high percentage of the marketing is for high-potency products. That is where they make their profit. They do not make it from CBD products with low THC. High-potency products to children and youth are what they are targeting. Billboards and other public-facing advertising exposes these children, and we don't need them further exposed. There's already a high incidence of youth use of these products.
Is not only bad for public health, but also detrimental to our already challenged budget deficit. At its core, this issue is about our neighborhoods and gather, grow, and thrive. We cannot ignore the lessons of the past. One example is the tobacco industry, which once expanded under similar ideas of economic benefit, only for communities to suffer the long-term consequences. That led to a major settlement agreement, and the industry was held accountable for the public health crisis that it created. We're now seeing similar warning signs, such as concerns about youth access, mental health, impaired driving, and the increasing normalization of marijuana use in our communities. Instead of prioritizing the expansion of marijuana, we should be investing in what truly strengthens communities. After-school programs, youth services, mental health resources, and recreational infrastructure. If we move forward with this expansion, we risk shifting our focus away from the
Cleanest detention facility. I'm a perfect example of how far community leaders and supposed law enforcement, public officials will go to silence an individual. First Amendment rights and civil rights to protect what is absolutely taking place, which is a kickback program for rehab placements. I do believe that much of which is Prop 36 at this point. It used to be Prop 47, but now Prop 36. I have direct 8 days of insider knowledge of exactly what's going on Prop 36 and all the women that are stuffed in Las Colinas and dying of in-custody deaths, which I was almost one of. If you don't know my story, I was almost murdered in San Diego on December 28, 2020. My children were abducted. ARGIS and CLEAP system were altered to protect the identity of the individuals involved in my case because they are county contract kickbacks for rehab defendants. At this point in time, I found out a reduction case. Guess what, guys? The person that's sitting in jail right now is the person that was blowing the whistle, just like me. They stuffed me in Las Colinas despite having a ruptured aneurysm and brain surgery on November 5th. They attempted to put a $125,000 bail on me until they didn't realize my loved one was with me the entire time, put the money down, $10,000 down, but suddenly it wasn't real bail, and suddenly they took it out, and suddenly the case changes. But guess what? It's all to protect what's taking place. If women see other women die in custody, they get sent to high power. It's going to be exposed in a way you cannot imagine. So be ready. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker, John Stump, please unmute and begin.
Hi, John Stump. Sent to your committee concerning a change of use in the Los Penasquitos Preserve. The change of use is to convert for one day to a helipad. It's unclear from the environmental determination whether there will be one landing or 50 landings and takeoffs. So it's a completely changed use. Now, earlier today, the council president said, wow, it's only one day. And it made me think about that advocate to prevent pedophiles. You know, you wouldn't discount the harm that's done by someone to a minor if it was only one day. We have no idea what the harm is going to be from these helicopter takeoffs and landings to a environmental preserve like Las Penasquitos Preserve. Please.
Thank you. Catherine Rhodes, please unmute and begin.
This week there was a news article that the pension board just approved the annual pension payment of $563 million, over $500 million, which is $30 million more than the $533 million annual pension payment paid last year. The pension problem was created when the city hit the pension problem in the annual comprehensive financial report, previously named the CAFR. They hit the pension problem from the bottom in 2002. 11 years later, the pension problem was on its way to be fixed in 2013 with a 5-year pensionable pay freeze by creating the middle managers and exempting positions from classified services. So now the pension debt used in 2013, it was $136 million. Now it's $3.2 billion. So there was an increase of $3 billion in the last 12 years. And then, recently, now you have to do these city employee compensation reports. In 2020, there was 12,605 positions, including 308 middle managers, which make up to 184,000. In 2024, there's now 14,570 positions, including 423 million middle managers, making up to $268,000. So in 4 years, there was a total of 1,965 new positions for no gaming services, and that's a 15.6 increase in new positions when the population increase. There's a 37% increase in the total amount of middle managers, which is 115, and there's a 45% salary increase for middle managers of up to $84,000.
Thank you. This does conclude your time. And Chair, this concludes non-agenda public.
Thank you. Members, mayor, staff, city attorney, and independent budget analyst for comment. Are there any? No. Therefore, hearing none, we will ask if there are any requests for continuance. Also hearing none, we will proceed with the approval of our consent agenda. Do I have any requests to pull from the consent agenda? No, we have one item. Natalie, please proceed with any public comment.
Thank you, Chair. The public comment period for the consent agenda is now open. The consent agenda includes item 1, approval of the committee minutes from November 19th, 2025. I have one speaker slip from an individual here in chambers. Blair Beekman, please approach the lectern. You'll have 1 minute to speak to the consent agenda.
My mic is on. Now it's working. Hi, Blair Beekman. Thank you. Hopefully I can add a few little factoids to the meeting minutes approval on park. You had a big park review, 2025 review of park plans and issues and such. You were talking about grant funding yesterday, I think, possible grant funding. I've heard the park items today, earlier. It's really important that we're working towards accountability with all the tech involved in park maintenance and upgrades. And however we further that conversation, we need to trust that conversation, and that we're, even in this time of war, as I've been learning to say, we practice our best practices at the local level. We are creating peace and not war. If you want to keep being secretive and fearful, you'll be practicing war. Let's practice peace and best practices. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public testimony for the consent agenda. We will now move to the virtual queue. There are 2 hands raised in the virtual queue. Andrea Ebbing, please unmute and begin.
I just wanted to just make a quick comment on the consent agenda. And looks like approval of committee minutes. I just want to thank the clerk or whoever it is that's responsible for putting in the information that's being said by the individuals that are speaking. I see there's like a name and then a blurb about kind of what they're talking about, and that's appreciated. I think it should be a standard across the board. All meetings should absolutely have what we're saying, so that's a step in the right direction. So that's all I have to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 8700, please press *6 and begin.
Thank you, Judge Another 53. I really wanted to say thank you on this because it's so generous of you to allow the public to really say what they have to say on the minute. They really, expect that you allow them to do that. I do have a concern that there's on the way the comments are printed on the minutes. And I want everybody to soften that. If they don't soften it a bit, then I think what you ought to do is just put in the parentheses there and say, please refer to the full detail on the video replay of this committee and the public comments. Because I don't think you deserve the criticism. It's tough to try to pull out from a context because they're so different. And so I commend you on the work you do. I've read my own comments, and no, they're not perfect, but what is?
Thank
So
you.
Thank you for the.
Thank you. This concludes your time, and Chair, this concludes public comment on item 1.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm now going to turn it over to committee members for any questions, comments, and to entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Councilman Campillo, and we have a second by Councilman Von Wilford, and we will now take the vote using the voting screen. Thank you. We'll now take up our information item. We're going to start with that. Natalie, please introduce item number 5.
Item number 5, overview of the Hunger Coalition.
Please, please make yourselves comfortable. And when you're ready, please introduce yourselves for the record and begin about approximately for your presentation. 10 minutes?
10 to 15 minutes.
10 or 15, okay, great, thanks. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm Sandra Alvarado. I'm the CEO of the San Diego Hunger Coalition, and with me is Joseph Kendrick, Hunger Coalition. Thank you, Councilmember Campbell, for the rest of the council members here for listening to our presentation. Well, the Hunger Coalition, we are a nonprofit. We've been in San Diego for 51 years now. And then our organization, as you can see, we're a backbone organization. We focus on providing services to the community-based organizations who provide services to the clients. And I believe sometimes when we think about food assistance, the first thing that we think is about emergency food assistance programs like food banks and food pantries, which are amazing and do a great job in San Diego relieving hunger. But at the same time, there are other programs that residents and people who need that can access to. One of the work that we do this in we call it the 3 pillars. One of them is research and data, that you're going to hear about it a little bit more. We also do, with our research and data, we also do policy and advocacy work to end hunger in San Diego County, and we also work doing outreach and education. With our information, you're going to be able to see that they're handing out some dashboards about the research and the hunger situation in San Diego County, but you're